pretty committed to trying to do something about the bacterial infection in people's mouths. Research tells us about 85% of the time kids get their cavities from their moms because the mom has active decay as she delivers. And so we developed a new concept, and we call it OB Dental, where we try to get the bacteria count down in the mom before she delivers the baby. That way, when the baby comes into the world, they're not hit with a big world full of strep mutans, which is the bacteria that causes cavities. There's adequate research that says children that you cannot isolate strep mutans from by age 2 have an average of 0.4 cavities by the time they're 4 years old. If you can isolate strep mutans from their mouth at age 2, they have an average of 4.5 cavities by the time they're 4 years old. So there's a big difference in terms of how many cavities kids will have if they have strep mutans in their immediate vicinity as their infants.
Interesting.
We say that anybody who has a close enough relationship to your baby to kiss them on the toes when they change their diapers, which is what is very natural to do, can give your kids the cavities. Does that make sense? Can give them the bacteria that cause the cavities. So, my opinion is that, one of these days, infant caregivers will all wear masks if they, have any possibility of having cavities in their mouth.
You've also experienced a lot of growth since you moved into this office?
Yeah, we have just a bigger presence, and that's what it's going to take to be able to take care of kids' cavities in this community. We moved from a kind of obscure location on 13th Street to the corner of 6th and Utica, but there's a high traffic count of people driving by here every day, and a lot of people know who we are just because of where we are. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I've been on or near Utica all my practice career. I used to be over across the street from Swan Lake in my early years, and that was kind of a high notoriety area too.
I mean, it's a wonderful facility, very cool looking, very modern. A lot of people might have expected this more down at 71st or 81st or 111th than at 6th and Utica.
Well, this is where the need is. I mean, this is where kids are that need to have the services we have available. We can have a nice South Tulsa practice. And it's not that kids that are in South Tulsa generally get their needs met quickly, and their needs aren't very great. Kids in this part of town or further north, have a bigger need. Okay? They're the ones that have what we call early childhood caries, okay, or a rampant infection with the bacteria that cause cavities. And usually when it's only a strep mutans infection, they get a few little cavities every few years. When they mix strep mutans with another bacteria called lactobacillus, that's when the whole thing goes into overdrive, because both of those bacteria love to grow in acid. And between the two of them, they minimize the competitive growth of other normal bacteria that would live in your mouth. And the acid environment prevents other normal competitive bacteria from living in your mouth. In low-income families, that's just a much bigger part of their picture. Okay? Those families are more likely to let their kids eat pretty much at will. Maybe not because they're low income, but because they maybe don't have the discipline that some of the other families do, and that kind of thing. And that is a constant source of carbohydrates to the bacteria, which is a constant allowing them to eat. If you have time, I'll tell you a quick story. I tell you about grandmas and grandpas, because I'm old enough to be a grandpa. Mm-hmm. And I say, who am I to tell a grandpa he can't feed his grandson a sucker once in a while? Okay? But grandpa has to follow the rules. A snack gets 10 minutes. So when they eat the sucker, they get to lick the sucker for 10 minutes and they have to throw it away. Or they can lick it for 9.5 minutes, chew it up and swallow it. As long as it's gone in 10 minutes, they've satisfied my requirements. Now then, do I know that there's still a little bit of sucker left in the biting surface grooves of that baby's teeth? I do. And I also know that that bacteria or that candy is going to be gone very shortly, and at the end of 40 minutes, the bacteria is going to be through with that, because it takes a half hour for either the first bite or the last bite of whatever you eat to be completed in its digestion by the bacteria, and the normal flow of saliva in your mouth rinses your mouth. So I also say grandmas are probably worse than grandpas, because a grandma is going to choose something healthy like an apple. Okay, and she's going to very lovingly peel all the peeling off the apple, cut it into nice little fluffy bite-sized chunks with no seeds and no pulp, put it in a little Tupperware box. She's going to say, "Here, sweetie, go eat your apple." And 3 hours later, that little girl is still feeding a bite of that to her dolly. It's turned brown and slimy by now. You wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't either. But the kids don't care. And instead of her dolly eating the apple, obviously she's the one who eats it. So grandma has taken that good, healthy apple snack and turned it into a 3.5 hour picnic for the bacteria that live in her mouth. So what I say is grandma has to follow the rules too. At the end of 10 minutes, you go and pick up the box, because that's all the apple her appetite needed to eat. On the other hand, if she comes back with an empty box in 5 minutes, you can fill it up again. I doubt if grandma can peel 3 apples in 10 minutes, but if she can, that's fine. The point is, the bacteria are going to be done in 40 minutes. My meal plan says they get 20 minutes for regular meals, 10 minutes for snacks, 3 meals and 3 snacks a day. Between meals, they only get water. Water is the only thing I know of that doesn't feed the bacteria. I also say jokingly they could have black coffee or unsweetened tea, but the principle is the same. It still doesn't feed the bacteria.